Welcome into the studio, everyone. I'm Carly Smith here with Rob Washburn to preview our most highly anticipated weekend of CAA football. It all comes down to this, the final week of the season. Four-way tie at the top of the conference standings, championship and playoff implications, rivalry games, you name it, Week 12's got it. Rob, our first thing to watch takes us to upstate New York, where number 12 UAlbany hosts Monmouth. The Great Danes are tied for first with a 6-1 record in the league, and stakes are high. A win on Saturday means they'll have a share of the CAA championship for the first time in program history, but that victory will be hard to come by with a Monmouth offense that, as Greg Gattuso said, presents massive problems. They're entering this week with the National Offensive Player of the Week in Dymere Miller, who leads the nation in receiving yards, and running back Jaden Sheridan leads all of FCS in rushing yards. Interestingly enough, UAlbany's defense is ranked number 1 in the nation against the run and leads the CAA in sacks. The Great Danes have won 7 of their last 8 games, but the last one of the regular season could be the hardest, Rob.
Yeah, Carly, it's been a tremendous season at UAlbany, which has overcome playing 7 road games, including 2 FBS opponents, and sits 1 win away from capturing its first CAA title since joining the conference in 2013, and they're also looking to lock up a spot in the FCS playoffs. The Great Danes feature one of the top defenses in FCS, giving up just 306 yards and 18 points per game, and as you said, they're number 1 nationally against the run, and their 35 sacks are the second most in FCS. It starts up front with Anton Junkage and AJ Simon, but linebacker Dylan Kelly has recorded a nation's best 135 tackles, and Amir Hall has contributed 4 interceptions and 13 pass breakups in that secondary. However, their assignment this week is significant against Monmouth's high-powered offense. Jaden Sheridan has run for over 100 yards 7 times this year and is on pace to become the first player to lead FCS in rushing in consecutive seasons in 24 years. Dymere Miller is coming off an incredible 11-catch, 333-yard effort last week against New Hampshire and has gone over 100 receiving yards 6 times. There are few offenses that can test the defense on the ground and through the air like Monmouth, but with a title on the line, I'm sure UAlbany is looking forward to the challenge.
Let's hear more from UAlbany's Greg Gattuso and Monmouth's Kevin Callahan.
You got to make some plays. You got to put some pressure on the quarterback. We've been good at putting our hands on the quarterback. We got to, it's not about sacks to me. It's about pressure. It's always about pressure on a quarterback. You got to make them uncomfortable. But that's a challenge when you're trying to stop a great, the number 1 tailback in the country. So there's a lot of challenges for our defense. I know they're excited. Obviously there's a lot of good things for us to try to look at and try to get after, but they present massive problems on their offensive side.
They're very difficult to score on. They give up points grudgingly. They pressure the passer as well as anybody that we've seen all year. And they're very difficult to find creases to run into. Their front line, I think, is outstanding. They've got 2 very, very talented defensive ends. They've got linebackers who are downhill players and the ability to be great run stoppers. And in the back end, they got some guys back there who can really make throwing the ball difficult.
It all goes down at 1 o'clock on Saturday on Flow Football. Our second thing to watch features one of college football's oldest rivalries, the Capital Cup. William & Mary, who's 4-3 in conference play, welcomes Richmond, who's tied for first in the league with a 6-1 record. Richmond enters this matchup having won their last 5 games, and a win on Saturday would mean not 1, but 2 trophies being handed over to the Spiders. William & Mary won last year's meeting, and if there's one thing we know about the Tribe, it's that they can defend. They lead the league in scoring defense, and I expect Zabel Stadium to be electric on game day. Rob, what's your analysis on this one?
Yeah, Carly, this is the 134th all-time meeting between the Spiders and the Tribe, and incredibly, the all-time series sits at 64, 64, and 5. Now, as you said, Richmond's riding a 5-game winning streak, and one of the big keys to its surge in the second half of the season has been the improvement on offense. The Spiders have averaged 375 yards and 36 points per game over their past 5 contests after averaging only 284 yards and 19 points in the first 5. First-year starting quarterback Kyle Wickersham dealt with an oblique injury during midseason, but he's finally healthy, and last week against Elon threw for 169 yards and 2 touchdowns and ran for 130 yards in a score. Savon Smith has been solid in the backfield, and Richmond has a deep group of receivers led by Nick DeGennaro. They will face one of the top defenses in FCS in William & Mary, which allows only 295 yards and less than 18 points per game. Everyone knows about the talents of All-America pass rushers Nate Lynn and John Pius, but reigning CAA Defensive Player of the Week Kevin Jarrell has recorded a team-high 70 stops at linebacker, and Ryan Poole leads a veteran secondary with 3 interceptions and 9 pass breakups. Now, last season, the Tribe went into Robins Stadium and took home both the CAA and Capital Cup trophies with a 37-26 victory. The question is whether the Spiders can return the favor on Saturday.
Wow, let's hear what Richmond's Russ Huesman and the Tribe's Mike London had to say prior to kickoff.
Huge task. I mean, we got to kind of figure out ways to move the ball. They're really hard to move the ball on, and they can create pressure when you do throw the football. So this will be a tough one. It'll be a 60-minute game. It'll come down to the very end.
It's a really good football. I think they've won five in a row, and that's you got to have something behind you when you got that going on like that. So. It's going to be a great game, down here, 1:00. Hopefully it'll be sold out. But this is what college football is all about, those rivalry games, good teams, good coaches, and hopefully the atmosphere will be such that everybody there will enjoy it.
Don't miss a moment of this one. Kickoff is at 1 p.m. on Cox, Your View, and Flow Football. Finally, our third thing to watch is worthy of all the hype. Number 6 Delaware plays host to number 10 Villanova for the Battle of the Blue. Whoever wins this game will take home at least a share of the CAA regular season championship and potentially lay claim to an automatic berth to the FCS playoffs. As Coach Ferrante told us, there's a lot of flavor added to this one. Villanova's Connor Watkins leads the nation in passing yards per completion, and Delaware lays claim to the nation's second-best team passing efficiency defense. Both teams can run the ball, create explosive plays, and fly around on defense. So, Rob, how do you see this one playing out on Saturday?
Yeah, Carly, when you dive into the numbers on this one, these teams are nearly mirror images of each other. Yeah. Defensively, Delaware's given up a league-low 14 points per game in CAA play, with Villanova right behind at 16 points per contest. Offensively, both the Blue Hens and Wildcats are averaging better than 32 points per game, and as you said, both teams have effective rushing attacks led by Marcus Yarns and Jalen Jackson, and big plays threats at the receiver position led by Jordan Townsend and Rajon Pringle. And when teams are this even, the focus often turns to the quarterbacks, and both of these guys are playing very well. Villanova's Connor Watkins has thrown for 848 yards and 9 touchdowns over the past 3 weeks. He's also a threat with the run with a pair of 100-yard efforts this season. Delaware's Ryan O'Connor passed for 246 yards and tied his career high with 4 touchdowns last week at Campbell, which is his 4th game with at least 3 TD throws. Now, it'll be important for both of them to avoid mistakes against top-tier defenses and make plays when they're available. Incredibly, Delaware hasn't beaten Villanova in Newark since 2004. Will that streak come to an end on Saturday?
Villanova's Mark Ferrante and Delaware's Ryan Carty both shared their thoughts leading up to the rivalry game.
I think there are a lot of similarities there. They're flying to the football on defense. They're hitting the pass game on offense. Obviously, you got Marcus there when he's available to have the big play. He's a big play potential guy because he's got great speed. So we think we have some backs that are similar in that regard as well. So I think they're pretty balanced on offense. I think they fly the ball on defense. And, in looking at some of their special teams this morning, they do some great things there. So I think it's a very evenly matched game, and I think it's going to be a pretty exciting atmosphere.
It's going to be one of those games where I think, like Coach just said, it's going to be, kind of who has the ball last or who has the least amount of mistakes and, who can play the cleanest. Because those games are always going to be so tight, and in particular when it's 2 teams that are playing for a championship and, have similar aspirations and records and, similar standing.
Kickoff is at 1 p.m. on Flow Football and NBC Sports Philadelphia. Now let's take a broader look at all the action happening around the league this weekend. New Hampshire hosts Maine in the battle for the Bryce Cow Musket. Elon welcomes Hampton to Rhodes Stadium with both teams aiming for a winning season. Towson faces a Rhode Island squad that's receiving votes in this week's national polls, and North Carolina A&T plays host to Campbell for a battle between 2 CAA newcomers. For results, recaps, and much more, visit CAAfootball.com and at CAA Football on social media. Best of luck, guys.